Alright, so what's good, everybody? Your boy Retro. We got Prince here as usual. We got my man D-Man back on episode 4. And we
What
got
up?
Syeed, our special guest for today. So we're going to get right into it. Now, today's topic is going to be talking about Sonic '06. Now, we're going to do a different style here. We're going to be doing it in more of a debate format. So, me and Syeed are going to give you the pros of Sonic '06, what made it a good game. And then you're going to have Prince and D-Man go ahead and drop off the cons. And it's going to be more of an ejection style. So, it'll be cutting us off, saying what they gotta say, why it was bad. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, a lot of people know Sonic '06, one of the most criticized game in Sonic history.
It almost killed the franchise.
Yeah, we can't say that. We can't say that here. But basically, I think that Sonic '06 had a good story mode. Now, when you talk about the past, present, and future concept. Now, remember, in one storyline, you had Sonic and Tails and Knuckles go back in the past. Mephiles was from the future, and a lot of fans criticized this because a lot of people got confused on.
Yeah, there was a lot of plot holes in the story. Like, where did Mephiles come from? I know he's a. Sorry if I interrupted or anything, but he's like the half. He and Iblis are Solaris, but where did he come from exactly? There's never really like the
Right.
It actually explains it. It actually explains it in both Shadow and Silver story, and it explains it some Spectre or Darkness thing.
But I think what they should have done was that they should have provided some backstory on Solaris, like at the beginning of the game. I don't know if this is just me though. I don't know if you guys share the same opinion. I just think this is just me. You know?
Well, here's the thing. For most common fans, they got confused on whether they were in the past, present, or future. Now, if you understood what was going on, you wouldn't get lost. I think
I pretty much knew like when I was in the past, present, or future. Yeah, it was, you know.
And the story became very easy to understand once you knew what tense you were in. Now, moving on to the next pro that I had, the graphics. I think for a game that came out in 2006, the graphics were really well, yeah. The graphics were detailed enough if you look at it for that time. Now you can't compare it with something that came out in 2010, 2011, but something that came out in 2006, '07 was really good. You know, I think the graphics were really good.
For me, there were some like weird textures. But other than that, like the CGI was pretty good. The in-game cutscenes, not the CGI ones, I thought that was weird. The mouth movements, the overall animation, because you had that little thing. They were on their mouths were on their chins, and they didn't lip sync at all. You know.
Okay,
too.
When you say weird textures, specifically, what are you talking about?
What?
When you said weird textures, when I was talking about what are you talking
I think he means like
buildings. There are like these really. Sorry about that. There are some really weird looking textures. It looks a bit blurry. I don't know if it's just me or not, but to me, and the character models sometimes feel a little bit. You know, they should have spent more time on the character models.
They get a little polished, you know.
In my opinion, I think the in-engine cutscenes, they looked good. The CGI cutscenes looked beautiful.
Yeah, they were.
I loved it. They looked, especially the first cutscene with Silver, where he's like on the building stalking Sonic.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good too.
Now, I loved it.
Now, I want to talk about next the soundtrack. I thought the soundtrack was really good. I don't know, Saeed, how you feel about that. I thought every song on Sonic '06 was really good.
I love the soundtrack. It's one of my favorite, actually. I love the soundtrack.
The inlet will always be my favorite my favorite piece from that game. But where you're chasing down the egg carrier, that's the best part. I think that's the best song in the entire game.
Yeah, I agree with the music. It was I listen to the music still to this day. You know, I go on YouTube, search the soundtrack. You know, I have no cons against that.
Right. Okay. Now I have a couple more points I want to bring up here. Another thing that made Sonic '06 really good was the unique level design. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about you had different scenery. You had some maps that took place in volcanoes, tropical rainforests. You had some city maps, Crisis City. You had snow facilities. You had pretty much every design you could possibly think of in this game, and Sega does a really good job of making unique designs. And I think if you look
Yeah,
at it from a graphical standpoint, that's good.
the level design and layout, yeah, it was actually pretty good, and it actually fit. Like the music they put with the level design and layout, it actually fit. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
I agree. Now, another point I want to touch on is a lot of people will criticize the fact that Sonic was slow, but I think they designed some of those maps for Sonic to move fast. There were parts like the end of Crisis City where he's just going down a straight path. It was designed for him to move fast.
I like to jet for that.
Okay.
That concept, the whole those Mach speed zones completely fall flat on their face because you can barely control Sonic there.
Right.
You can't. Sometimes there, like for instance, the Crisis City stage. It's like the difficult time, like the difficulty you have moving left and right. That's the only way you can move. The jumping is ass. In Crisis City, there's so much being thrown at you, you cannot avoid it at all because your jump is so dickish, and you have very little move. You have very little movement. You have restricted movement. Because like I said before, going left and right, it's really hard to do, and he can be a bit sluggish going left and right.
Look at Wave Ocean. They got multiple paths that you could take, but as you said before, that you can't really control Sonic. So half the time you find yourself running into the walls and the spikes that they got laid down. The only good one I seen was Kingdom Valley when he's running against the water. That's my favorite one.
And sometimes you can sometimes like the timing. You know how you're supposed to get to a different. The Kingdom Valley one, where you're in that waterfall looking place. I can't explain it. There's this part you need to jump, but the jump is so
Right.
dickish.
Right.
And so unresponsive sometimes. I'm not sure if it's unresponsive is the right word. Sometimes the jump has so much momentum it will take you across the one of the blocks and you'll fall and die. You need to be really really perfect at timing your jump or else you'll die into a penalty.
It feels like you floating sort of sometimes. Like just.
Well, yeah. Well, my point I'm making is that the design was meant for him to have straightaway paths on most of those maps. What your guys are talking about is the fact that the physics of the game didn't allow him to perform those speed runs because you had, like you said, Crisis City. You couldn't control them because of the way the map was designed. But I think they put the speed pathways was meant for him to actually run fast, but they didn't do a good job of making him actually run fast, or with other factors that didn't allow him to run as fast as he could, And I think that's the problem. Now, my last and final point is Sonic, Silver, and Shadow, how they balanced out the game with their different play styles. You had Sonic, who was straightaway speed, was meant for that. You had Shadow, who was doing the objective-based missions with the guns and the trucks and all that stuff. And you had Silver with his telekinesis, more of like a slower pace style, but more of an objective base. And I think they really balanced out the game. I don't know what y'all think about that.
All right.
I think Silver was making him a playable character was pointless to me. I did not enjoy playing with Silver.
Why is that?
I like the Oh no, keep going, Prince. If that's all right. Sorry.
Well, why is that?
I mean, it just like it was kind of pointless to me. Like it didn't have like a main. It like if you play with Sonic and Shadow first, you will see that his character was in the cutscene, so you could understand his side of the story without playing with him. It's like they added him into the game for no quite sort of reason. And I know there's a lot of Silver the Hedgehog fans. I know I've seen it in all over YouTube, but to me it was quite pointless.
I have to object to that because I think the reason they made Silver playable was because Sonic 06 was originally a game with just Silver and Blaze in it, and they decided to make it a Sonic game later in development.